Hi everyone, this is Tanya the Lady Strange. Welcome once again to my altar room. This is going to be the July 2026 wrap-up video for the decks I've used, my practice, what I've worked with generally, how my month of July went, and maybe a thing or two that I acquired. So with that being said, this is just me, unapologetically me. What you see is what you get in the different facets of me and my experience as a woman, a left-hand practitioner, and of course a spiritual being, and trying to be the best human being I can be. And with that being said, the month of July was a bit rocky and difficult and roller coaster for me. I do know that when certain things are guided with me was when I work with my intuition, my own personal, my higher self, my own personal discernment, my logic of what carries over from the previous months, and just previous years, and just overall life experiences in the day to day. So I often do know, and so the energies come to me. So with that being said, I also do know once a song, which if you checked out any of my previous videos whatsoever before or feel inclined to, that basically these are, I come up with a theme song, or sometimes songs, themes that maybe to explore as a woman in my day-to-day experiences and relationships, my health issues and path working, psychologically, mentally, emotionally, and physically, but also as a practitioner. I marry both the magic and the mundane, as I always say. They're not separate for me, they're all part of the same whole. And so, with that being said, my song theme for the month of July was by Smashing Pumpkins. The beginning is the end is the beginning, or something like that, kind of inverse. I'm going to try to remember to put that into the description box. It is a song, and it was from one of the Batman movies, one of the theme songs. I am a huge fan and always have been since they came out with the Smashing Pumpkins. And of course, a big fan of Billy Corgan and their lyrics, their aesthetic, and music. Music is magic to me, and music is part of my day-to-day experience. I'm still grateful I can hear as I have hearing aids as I'm almost deaf. So that's something to be blessed for and to account for. So basically, I went through a lot of lessons again. The decks that came forth to me were very vampiric, which makes sense, and a lot of shadow work. Shadow work is part of the human life experience, part of the evolution to help us to understand ourselves, the collective, and what we see and experience in this world and how we experience others. But it's also part of, if you are a practitioner or spiritual being, it also should be part of your arsenal. It is mutually beneficial to do to understand yourself, your past traumas, how you heal, how you deal with things, accountability, and maybe the shadow of others and how they reflect in you and how you reflect that back. It's all interactive, as they say. So basically, my decks I picked were also vampiric, sort of a darker nature. I'm the Lady Strange. I do like things of a darker inclination. I am a huge horror fan. My husband and I will be going to Sci-Fi Horror Fest the end of next week, and we're going to Salem this week. So, yes, much needed, much earned, and hard work for this vacation. We're going from Wednesday to Sunday of this week. I'm currently on vacation, so freedom. So grateful for that and that. But that's for August because this is August 3rd. I'm filming this. So without further ado, my emotions are up and down. My imposter syndrome has made a huge thing throughout the month of July. Very, very difficult. If you don't know what imposter syndrome is, Google it. And it's a bitch and it's a whore. And yes, I swear, because that's me. That's one just aspects of me. I swear like a sailor when I can, but I know when not to. It's discernment. But it was difficult. It reared its ugly head in so many shapes and forms, and some depression and very heavy energy. I am, after all, human, the world I see, the world we live in, is very difficult and in many ways moving in that direction. But it's also what we can do for ourselves and feel those emotions. So I felt those emotions. I sat with them, I analyzed them, but I also let them flow. And I also learned to release things in my past working, which also overall helped. I do feel lighter at the month of August, and not just because of vacation coming, but because I also moved through those traumas and was honest, integral for myself and for what truly matters. And therefore, it also helps my environment and those that matter in my life. I clearly learned more about boundaries, and if I disappoint others, well, it is what it is. It's nothing against them. It's for myself and my well-being. So that's my month of July. Month of July otherwise was pretty well. I got a minor promotion at work, hard earned after being at the job for 2 years. A little bit small, a little bit amount more money, more responsibility, but something to add to my toolkit. So something to recognize for the month of July also. So you did see one of the decks. I'm going to bring it up now that I did get. I only got one deck, and I believe, and it was the Grateful Dead Tarot. I have a first impressions of that a couple videos back. If you feel interested or inclined, check it out, please. It's a great deck, and I do got to eventually, we'll start working with it more. So the first deck I used, and I won't be showing it because why, you can check out the other. But the first deck I used is, let me see, and some of these cards are turned over. Let me see if I can fix this quick. I should have probably looked. Okay. I started using, or for the month of July, I used Tarot V. Now, Tarot V is a mass market deck, so you can find it on Amazon. It's a vampire deck, of course. So I obviously work with, and as you have seen in any of my previous videos, I work a lot with the death energies. I work with Hecate is my patroness. I work with Hades. Persephone stepped forth in the month of July. I felt her always at the edges because I've been working with her husband, her consort, Hades, for many years now when he stepped forth. And I have a very enriched relationship with him, a mutually respectful and beneficial relationship. But she's been there, and he's kind of like, she's not ready to work with you, you're not ready to work with her type of thing. And I respectfully acknowledged and discerned. Now, she did step forth. Now, have I worked with her heavily? No, but I have acknowledged, and I started making a connection. I build relationships with my deities and spirits. So that was one of the things I did in the month of July. Yes, this is all over the place, but this is me. This is my rambles and my own video diary, so to say. I'm trying to approach YouTube because I have a love and hate relationship with it. So I'm trying to, as part of my imposter syndrome and my reality, trying to deal with that. So Tarot V came forth as my cycles of having to deal with. It's a very shadow work deck, hence I've already said that. So I did a lot of shadow work. The guidebook is great. It's got a lot of great jumping off points. I believe it is a low Scarabeo or Scarabeo deck. But hey, it's however you say it. Here's the backings. I do love the artwork in this. It's very, very dark, very moody, very great for shadow work. As I said, the guidebook's got some nice meat in it. I love the images. You can see where the artist did them by pop culture. References are clearly evident in this deck. But it does have a lot of depth. It has a lot to consider when it comes to honoring the cycles of life and death and eternity, but your own personal eternity, because sometimes days can feel like eternity or periods of times, especially when you have a rocky roller coaster month, kind of like I did emotionally, energetically, and somewhat physically too. We all know, if you watch my videos, I'm a type 1 diabetic. I'm almost deaf. I have hearing aids, and I'm losing my eyesight. And the world we live in makes it more challenging. but it's how one approaches. I'm still standing, aren't I? That's one of my mottos. So this deck, using conjunctively with the guidebook as a clarifying conjunctive thing of the message, it really did suit the message and the energies of the theme of the beginning of the beginning at the end is the beginning. As you can see, that's kind of very vampiric in itself, and the message. Check out the lyrics as they are very empowering, and it does have a lot to do with magically and experience and maybe apocalyptic of evolution of self and death and release of old aspects, but to acknowledge the darkness within, the dark night of the soul, and just the experience of human, but there is always that spark of light and hope and things to look for in each day and in each experience and each lesson. So this deck I have not worked with it as much, so that's one of the things I'm trying to do in 2026 is to bond with some decks I haven't either ever used or used as often to build a relationship with, as they are my tools, my companions, my teachers, my guides, and of course to honorably use my collection, my ever-growing collection, but to use it effectively and empowered. My decks are not just divinatory, they can be. They're more energetically focused for me, but they are psychological, magical tools and such. So this deck's been out there so you can see it. So that is the Tarot V. Now, and I didn't use it as much, and I did heavily use it more so and prevalently in the month of July. So there's that. So I learned a lot from it, and I'm going to continue to keep it in my collection and work with it. So yes. So the next one is the Bohemian Gothic. This is an indie deck, a rather expensive indie deck. It comes from, oh gosh, my brain here. I have the box down here, 1 second. Well, here you can see overall. Either way, it's a popular deck. There's several editions out there. This is the newest edition, so yes. I do enjoy this deck. It has a very, it's Victorian-based, human-based, but also manipulated, but it's got so much to it, and it's quirky, much like myself, and much like the human life experience. It's weird, it's odd, it makes you look twice, maybe 10 times. It makes you think. It has relative in the relationships of the expressions of the characters, often makes me smile, and often adds to the delight and the mysterious of this deck. I love the colorations that do stick out. I'm not a big fan of that cold blue stamping. I could do without that, especially in certain lighting and with my eyesight issues. It does add a layer of difficulty to it, but it doesn't deter me. Now, this deck I have used many times this month, of course, and I'm still building a relationship with her. I do, however, use her to read for others. She's a good, very clear reader. She gets to a lot of intuitive messages and emotionally connects with others. But it helps me emotionally connect with myself, my gifts, and across the veil. It's a beautiful deck. My only complaint, besides the cold stamping, is really the cardstock. It could be much better for the price. However, this deck helped me to feel and understand my relationships a bit better, and the relationships I have day to day, as I don't work with people directly, like in person, but I'm in customer service, so I take several calls a day and deal with people's emotions, money, experiences, lives, interactions, and as a guiding tool, and often as a psychiatrist, psychologist, and in certain ways, sometimes spiritual being. They're all interlinked. So this helps me to deal with my day-to-day. This also helped me to deal with cycles of life and death, as those themes are clearly in here. Plus, it's also a very macabre deck. So it's up my alley. It is a great complement to Tarot V. So you've seen this deck, so that is a Bohemian Gothic. You set her aside. I use this one. It is a Syrian Shadows deck. We all know, if you watch my video, I'm a fan of Syrian Shadows deck. The only one I'm having a bit of a harder time connecting with, honestly, is basically the Haunted Cottage. I use it and it comes to me forward. It's made some appearances on my videos when I got it and still does, but it's not as prevalent as this one, which you just saw is a Shadow and Darkness. Now this is I nicknamed my decks affectionately. Not all of them, but many of them. This is my Slayer deck. Slayer as in the band. It reminds me of 80s and 90s metal album covers. The aesthetic is shadow work. Some of it is more darker inclined. Some of it has a lot of wisdom, a lot of strength, a lot of hidden messages. So this, and of course, look at that gilt. So the edging is just everything. So this is the indie version of it. He did come out and released by Rockpool on an actual mass-produced version. I don't own it. I don't know how much I really want to. I'm attached to this. This deck steps forth and has, since I got it, in many different layers, practices. So it's a very resourceful deck. So it gets the most bang for its buck, as they say. But obviously you can see it complemented the energies and the aestheticism of the other cards in the imagery. But it also is a great clarifier. It's a great clarifier to the messages. It works well with tarot, works well with other decks, surprisingly so. Yes, these might be confronting to you, especially something like this, especially if you're not into it, or shadow work, or darker inclined, or a horror fan, or heavy metal, rock and roll fan, much like myself. But to each their own. That's what makes us each unique. Why do you want to fit in a fucking box? Why do you want to be a sheep, like they say, when you can be a wolf? Be yourself. You can't be anyone else, and you shouldn't. Autonomy and individuality, which this deck very much does too. It does work with wounds, human life experiences, feelings, but also the mental and the logic. And it does actually have some things in it that help with intuition, clarity, and navigation of just experience. So again, there is a video back, I believe, in 2024 where I showed this deck a little bit more so you can see it, but you get an idea there. Let me set this aside. I'm not going to show this one because it makes a huge appearance on my channel and has the Haunted Cottage. Haunted Manor Oracle. I apologize. Haunted Manor Oracle, also by Syrian Shadows. This is my most used Oracle deck, and my most used Syrian Shadows deck, but my most used Oracle deck. She is lovely. She's out of print. I would hope that maybe it gets re-released in some aspect or version at some point, because I would love to have some form of backup, because she's already quite distressed because of the amount I use her. I love her, and she is part of my tools and everything. So we're going on 20 minutes, not too bad. We're almost done with the decks I used this month. Actually, we're on the last one. So yes, not too bad. The last one I haven't used in quite a bit, but also probably one of my contenders for, it's definitely in my top of Oracle decks for my second favorite Oracle deck, second to third favorite placement, but I haven't used it in quite a while or as avidly. This is the Fallen Angels Oracle. I don't know if this is out of print anymore. It was when I got right before I got it, or right after I got it, it went out of print, but it was mass produced. It is got graven images. We all know I love graveyards. the peace, the solitude, how they relate into my practice, as I said earlier, but also my favorite cemetery, about under 15 minutes from my house when I am able to get there, is such a beautiful older cemetery with beautiful, rich gravestones, but also wildlife. If you check out my one post on the post tab here, you'll see one of the images from it and with one of the actual hawks that visited us when my friend and I went last week for our coffee and walk and haunted that cemetery. But this deck also is Fallen Angels, so these have a lot of the goetic demons on it, which I do work with, and I work with not many because I work with them one at a time, but I have connected with others. But I have a perspective focus right now. I'm working with Don Talion. If you're not sure what demon that is, you can check it out and Google it. There's a lot of information out about him, but there's a lot more I have found in my own personal gnosis and experiences already after working with him consciously for 6 months, since February of 2026. That's when he stepped forth, about a month or two before that, but I build a conscious, respective relationship on it. A lot different than other practitioners may be, but I'm not any other practitioner. I am myself. Now, that's the magic of witchcraft, and the reality is one's practice should be their own and individualistic, tailored to their working, their reality, their human life experience also, but in a healthy, empowered way. Some of these may be upside down. Again, I should check my deck. But I fell in love with this deck again because I do like the little guidebook and a little blurb and jumping off points with it. It does give a little bit of education to it. I do love the imagery, of course. The keywords actually tie in very well and is a great clarifier for tarot and oracle, and it works well with other decks. It's beautiful, it's dark, yet it's light, much like the fallen angels are, and much like their stories are, just like humans are. Have all different various facets, masks we wear, people we play, the hats we wear, our experiences, what we contribute to the world, our relationships, our experiences, and our inner depths. So that's the Fallen Angels Oracle. Again, so many of these are out there. You get an idea. So next, besides that, I'm going to go with crystals I used, and I'm going to continue to work with these because I got this, I think in July or June perhaps, lapis lazuli. I have been so this year, previous to that too, at different points, but even more so this year. And you will see, I think it's my May video where I worked with the Serpent Fire Tarot. And of course, my main favorite deck, my favorite deck that will always be my beginning and my end and in between, the Thoth deck. But basically, I have been so attracted to the Egyptian pantheon, the energies of it, the magic, the philosophy, the ancient wisdom, the occults of that, even the hauntingly fearsome of it, because it really does talk about life, death, rebirth, aspects of that, and of honoring the dead, honoring the ancestors, but also honoring your life and how you live that life, I believe, and the aspects and the connections of deity that is in there. But there's so much magic and philosophy, and also the aestheticism, of course. How can we not enjoy that? And it's beautiful. So this stone I found, and I'm on the hunt for a good bracelet for it. It's connecting to me in so many ways. Lapis lazuli holds so much wisdom, so much magic, so much truth, so much esotericism. But it's also very calming and meditating and reflective. It's a great teacher and it's a great ally. Now, up until these past couple months, I have not really worked with it. And this wasn't one that called to me or resonated with me at that point. But it is now. So again, I'm acknowledging and working with it. I've used it, I bring it to work with me. It's a great calming stone, it's meditative, but it also helps me to connect with my higher self and my human life experience all at once. My favorite black smoky quartz, I worked with her a lot. I also worked with her in June. Look at that. She was bought a couple years ago. My husband found her for me at Village Silversmith um, in Danvers. I believe Danvers or Peabody, Massachusetts, that is. They have a store also in Salem and elsewhere, but I visit the Salem one and the Danvers one when I visit, which I hope to or know I will be in a couple days. My other favorite is Numite. This is a stone much of a higher vibration, much like the lapis. Much of a rare stone. Check out Numite if you don't. Google it. There's a lot of information out there. She is a beautiful stone. I got this one several years ago, and I work with it almost, and it's always near me almost every day. And of course, that one came from a store in Herkimer, New York. This one came from the Village Silversmith in Salem several years ago. This is my favorite black obsidian. A couple times she hit on me and misplaced, and I was devastated. Luckily, she turned up, so she still is. This one, black obsidian, along with the smoky quartz, are definitely in my top 5 of crystals in my toolkit. What I work with, they're versatile, they're interactive with each other, they connect with me. They are psychically connected. They are connected to the root chakra, so they're protective. They're grounding into the center of the earth, but they're also of the underworld. They're also reflective, so they also bring in and connect with that psychic intuition and magic. They're black. So, yes, obviously, Tanya loves black. We all know that. So there's the crystals I worked with in the month of July. My favorites, I work with them all the time somewhat, but they're notable, so I mentioned them. Plus, they were great for the brooding and the passworking. And lastly, let's see. I just wanted to mention my favorite incenses have been benzoin. I use this a lot with Hecate. But also one of my prevalent ones of them, I do love working with scents highly in my practices and in my day-to-day experiences. Scent is one of my favorite things. This one, let's see if she's upside down. You can see the label here. So Trish from, I believe, the channel of, she used to be from Beanbag Hagwag, but she is from, I think, The Life of an Aging Artistic Witch or something. I apologize. I did butcher that. But this is from a small company she mentioned on her channel, so check her out. I'll try to see if I can leave a link. This is from a small business company. This scent is enticing. It's metaphysical. It is pleasurable. It is relaxing and calming. It's also deliciously decadent all at once. And guess what? It was commissioned by the singer Prince himself. So, yes, it has connotations and associations with it. He is no longer with us, but he is also one of my favorite music artists since I can remember, since he came out in the 80s when I was born and is still a big part and inspiration in my musical and life experience and ties in. And I just love him. But, yes. And lastly, to wrap up, I have a notable book I got, and I'm going to be working with this in many ways in the future. is this book I just got past week at Barnes & Noble. I will be using this with, for example, Terra Volatile in a study or studies in path working as I eventually do, but it's going to tie into my magical and spiritual practice, of course, and occult wisdom, and that working with the Egyptian pantheon and alchemy and hermeticism. Just every layer of occult. Sorry, the book's gonna fall, so let me set it up. And one last thing I'm gonna show is a haul, a notable thing I just got on Saturday. So look at this. The Halloween stuff's out, so yes, I got this at Michael's. Michael's has a beautiful selection of Victorian goth things this year. Once again, I'm rather impressed. Stuff comes out way too early and leaves too early in my thing to bring about stuff for Christmas. But we're not going to go about my feelings on that. Otherwise, it'd be quite the ramble. We don't need that. Ain't no one got time for that. But with commercialism, it is what it is. It's part of our experience. But as with Christian commercialism, I have this. If you don't like snakes, well, it is what it is. I'm not responsible for triggering you. You're not responsible for triggering me. Basically, that type of thing. Or dealing with it, should I say, of how we trigger each other. Life is triggering. We'll put it that way. Life is, and what we see and experience and what's happening in this world is triggering, and how other people are. But it's how we deal with it and how we move through it. So that is serpents. So we know, hello, I work with serpents. I work with serpentine energy, draconian energies, understanding in my studies and my research and how they apply as the occult, like I said, just fascinates me on so many layers and connects, and there's so much deja vu, so much held within my soul on it. And it's so truly helped me to experience and evolve and be present also as a woman in this life and a practitioner. So with that being said, I thank you for watching this if you got this far. My videos are rather rambly and unedited, but they are me. And that's what this should be. Not a lot of this fake ass stuff that's out there. But yeah, that's one of the big difficulties of this world, is everybody just wanting to be things a certain way. Don't we all? But that's wishful thinking. And also, why would that be also beneficial or part of our experience? The diversity and the individuality, that's what makes life a bit more fulfilling and a much more bearable, and how we can inspire each other. So with that being said, I thank you for being here watching this. If you have any of these decks, let me know. If you're interested in any of these decks, let me know. You have any questions, let me know. I appreciate you all watching this as you inspire me and hopefully inspire you. And with that, as always, stay strange.